Good morning, and you're listening to The Edge here on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM for Wednesday, March 20th, 2024. I am Devonne, Cornelius, and thank you so much for joining me in the program for today. Joining me in studio is Mr. Larry Vaughan, head of the Regional Integration and Diaspora Unit and Ambassador for Syndicates and Nevis to CARICOM. Mr. Vaughan, welcome to the program, and thank you so much for joining me.
Well, thank you for the invitation, and it's a pleasure to be here to have a conversation with you and the people of Syndicates and Nevis.
Awesome. So today we will be speaking on the full free movement of CARICOM nationals. You are aware that this has been a topic in the public sphere for quite some time, and the topic will be centered around that, of course, and of course we'll facilitate questions from the callers. Now, we want you to explain what is the full free movement of CARICOM nationals and what exactly does it entail?
The free movement of individuals in the CARICOM community, the Caribbean community CARICOM, is an aspiration that is as old as the region. It has always been the desire that our people will be able to experience, to share, to live and work among each other. And so that by 1958, there would have been the West Indies Federation that would have started that thrust even before we were independent states. Unfortunately, by 1962, the West Indies Federation went the way of all flesh, and so there was a desire to rework the plan to get to regional integration. And so we started off with aspects like CARIFTA,
Yes.
and then the CARICOM by 1973. The work was a bit slow, but then we recognized that incrementally to get to free movement, there must be certain things in place.
Right.
And so we started off with trade, that goods can trade between the member states, and that we formed in that Caribbean community that single market and economy that would allow for the free trade among us. Goods primarily will be zero rated in duties coming from that originate in one member state going to other member states. And then we recognize, hey, we need also to have that move in investment and in services. And so other moves came later on. And then we recognize, hey, if people are going to be if the goods are going to be moving and the investments are going to be moving, people need also to be able to move freely. And movement is not just migration. Movement says that I do not need to be weighed down by immigration whenever I come in from one member state to the next. I must not be given time of how long I can stay. I must not be given limitations as to being one national from another country, needing special permits and permissions to operate in another member state. So that is the way all things started going, until we recognize, hey, the first thing you need is that I will give each member coming from another state 6 months automatically. Because at one point, a stamp was just like 1 month, 2 months. And we decided as a region, it should be made longer. And so 6 months became the sweet spot. Okay. And so we always hear about the 6 months that can be granted to each CARICOM national. And it was even made more popular by a case being put before the Caribbean Court of Justice by a Shanique Myrie of Jamaica, who went to Barbados and was not granted that 6 months. And the case was taken before the court, and the court solidified that understanding of the 6 months. And then the region decided we'll go a little further, because we are taking it incrementally towards the free movement. And so it was decided, let us try out the free movement among those with skills. And so in working with the Caribbean Examinations Council, the CVQs were developed, where competences were developed. So if I'm a plumber, I could have the certification as a plumber, and if I present my certification in another member state, I can be granted the opportunity to work even beyond 6 months and to live, because I am moving on the free movement with the CVQs. And so we are now seeking to expand it to the furthest now, where we are saying every national of the Caribbean community is able to move among the member states that are within the CSME. And I want to make sure that that is clear. We are talking about the area of the CSME, which would be all member states excluding Haiti and the Bahamas. They are not members, while they are not members of the CSME, while they are members of CARICOM. So let us bear that in mind, that we're looking not at the full 18 million people of CARICOM, we're looking at that 7.8 million that would occupy those 13 member states, which exclude Haiti and the Bahamas.
So basically, the movement of goods, services, investment, this is something that has been going on for quite some time.
It has been going on for some time, because the treaty that established CARICOM was established in 1973. And it began with that purpose of trade and eventually to have that free movement. And the inheritors of that treaty came back in 2002 and would have re-signed the revised treaty, which established now the Caribbean single market and economy. And within that treaty, the area of specific focus would be Article 45. And that article, if I can quickly find it and read it to you, it's very short. It says, member states commit themselves to the goal of free movement of their nationals within the community. So that is the agreement that has been made by the heads since 2002. That desire is to make sure that all nationals will be able to move. The question is, how will it be done? And so the work had to be put in place to make sure it is done incrementally. And one of the things I bear in mind, and COVID has really taught it to us, is that you can't have effective movement of goods and services if people can't move.
Okay.
And so there was, by 2019, an understanding among the heads when they met in St. Anne, Trinidad. And so it is called the St. Anne Declaration. It was already decided since 2019 that by 2021 there would have been free movement.
Wow.
But then COVID came in 2020, and then 2021 we had another round of COVID, and so it was not possible for it to be done. And so when the heads met again in Trinidad in July of 2023, the heads committed once again to ensure that it be done, and they gave themselves a deadline of March 31st, 2024. And that date seems to be hanging over our head like the sword of Damocles, you know. And so a lot of people are very concerned about March 31st, 2024. And it is not doomsday. It is not the end of the world. And I'm here to give more information as to how that is expected to unfold as we go along.
We're talking about March. We know that there was a meeting held on March 15th between member states. What came out of that meeting?
The heads met on March 15, and a decision has been made to ensure that we are going to have to meet again. So the meeting continues. What has happened is that the heads are, the body of heads, I should say, is the ultimate decision-making body of the Caribbean community. And so the heads would have met to look at reports that would have been sent by the Intergovernmental Task Force and the Legal Affairs Committee of CARICOM. The Intergovernmental Task Force would have presented a number of recommendations, both to the heads and to the Legal Affairs Committee, because the Legal Affairs Committee would then take this information and would craft it into legal language. And the very same article that I would have just read would then be further expanded so that the details of what would be accepted would be now the new Article 45 that would speak to the arrangements that would be put in place to bring to life the vision of that original Article 45 that says in principle that all nationals of the Caribbean region of CARICOM would be able to move freely between each other's territories.
And you mentioned that there will be a follow-up meeting. Has a date been decided?
Yes. Oh, yes. And it's before the 31st.
Okay.
It's actually on Saturday, the 23rd. The heads will meet once again on Saturday, the 23rd, because there are certain issues that are still to be finalized. Like, for example, we really want to have a clear definition of what would be primary and secondary education and primary and secondary health care. Especially on the healthcare matters, the chief medical officers of the different member states would have met to bring to light some of the understanding and the ramifications of the language, because you want to make sure that the language is also correct. When it comes to matters of integration, I would say they are pestle in nature. And or those of us who understand the pestle, that some matters are political, some are economic, there's sociological, there's a legal aspect to it. And so the lawyers in the Legal Affairs Committee must now take expert advice from the chief medical officers to coin the definition now of what would be best to be determined to be primary health care and secondary health care, because you want what is available in one member state is available in all member states.
Right. Thank you so much for that, Mr. Vaughan. And it appears as if, these committees, the Legal Affairs Committee and the Intergovernmental Task Force, have been looking at the legal and logistical challenges or
social challenges, even cultural, because with the whole movement, you are actually creating a new space, a new way of doing things. And so the understanding is that it must be totally strategic and it must be sustainable. It must be something that redounds to the benefit of all the people of the region. And as a member state, St. Kitts and Nevis must ensure that St. Kitts and Nevis is well taken care of in that whole arrangement. It reminds me of, well, neither you or I are married, but we've been to enough weddings to know that the bride and groom are normally told it is not something to be entered into unadvisedly. And so we are seeking to enter into this arrangement, knowing that it is an idea whose time has come. And so we are determined to make sure that on entering, whenever we enter, it shall be in the best interest of the people of St. Kitts and Nevis.
And as you mentioned, that the Prime Minister at his recently held roundtable discussion, he mentioned that St. Kitts and Nevis is asking for more information and data as it relates to the full free movement of CARICOM nationals. What exactly are we looking for? And I assume it relates to the discussions that have been held with the Legal Affairs Committee and the Intergovernmental Task Force?
Yes, because St. Kitts and Nevis understands that some member states are what we call receiving states. Receiving in the sense that their populations often migrate in a different way than all of the other CARICOM member states. And so you'll find more of they're receiving more nationals of CARICOM than they are sending to, whether because of migratory patterns or even just sheer size. You don't have 100,000 people to send. Right. And so someone else may be able to send more out than you would. So having an understanding of that, we are looking at what are the ways we can achieve parity within the region. And parity now is not equal.
The historic charm of Bastia is set to be revived as the old Treasury building commemorates its 130th birthday on Thursday, 21st March. To mark this momentous occasion, the old Treasury building invites residents and visitors alike to embark on an extraordinary journey through time with hourly train rides to explore the rich history of Bastia every hour on the hour. Step aboard the vintage train and be transported back in time as you traverse through the quaint streets of Bastia. Delve into the city's storied past with guided tours to historical landmarks, showcasing the rich tapestry of culture and heritage that has shaped Bastia into the vibrant hub it is today. From the iconic Independence Square to the majestic St. George's Anglican Church, each stop promises to unravel the captivating history of Bastia, offering a glimpse into the bygone eras. Expert guides will regale passengers with fascinating anecdotes and insights, providing a deeper appreciation for the heritage woven into the fabric of the city. For inquiries, call 465-5584, 662-5548 or 8743.
A Samsung tablet today.
Boy, what much madness is this?
Girl, Digicel is giving away a tablet a day for 20 days when you activate any Prime plan. Switch to Digicel, sign up for new home internet, or even when you pay a monthly bill in full. Tracy, we're going so fast.
I coming back. I go and make sure I qualify to win.
But Lord, you can dial *141# to activate plans or pay bills in the My Digicel app, or visit any Digicel store to sign up for new internet and switch. New winners are announced daily. It's madness in March. 20 Samsung tablets in 20 days. A Samsung tablet today. Simply more rewards and more value. Digicel, better together. Promotion ends March 2024.
Welcome back to The Edge here on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. I'm your host, Devonne, Cornelius, and if you're just tuning in studio with me today is Mr. Larry Vaughan, head of the Regional Integration and Diaspora Unit and Ambassador for St. Kitts and Nevis to CARICOM. And we are speaking on the topic of the full free movement of CARICOM nationals. Mr. Vaughan, again, thank you so much for joining me. Let's get back to the discussion at hand. What steps would St. Kitts and Nevis be taking, or member states, CARICOM as a whole, be taking to ensure that other people form part of the discussions or the decisions that are to be made as it relates to full free movement?
Okay. When it comes to policy making and government action, all decisions are local. The people of St. Kitts and Nevis will not be second place in the decision making going forward, with the understanding that free movement is for the benefit of the people. It is not a government sustaining or a government generated or a government dependent initiative. It is dependent upon the economic, social, even cultural wishes of the people of each of the member states. And so the position of the government of St. Kitts and Nevis is that, one, we will be in support of the free movement because it is in the best interest of our people. Getting on board, we are not at this point, at March the 20th today, we are not ready to be there. But it does not mean that we cannot ready ourselves. And so our work in readying ourselves will come with consultation with stakeholders in St. Kitts and Nevis. But first and foremost, we must have that understanding what becomes the benchmark for free movement. And so at this point, while the heads are still in deliberation and a decision has not yet been made, we are waiting for that. So March 23rd becomes the new deadline, the time we're waiting for. Perhaps the heads may even want some more time.
Okay.
And so whatever time that is, the heads would be expected to then say by what date they would want the free movement to take place. We are happy that the Intergovernmental Task Force has put within its recommendation a period of 3 years. It is recommending a period of 3 years for member states who are now not ready to get themselves ready. And it also has put in the recommendation a period of 7 years to make sure that in readying ourselves, systems are put in place. Now, we are not running them side by side and saying 10 years. We are saying, whatever is the date, 3 years to get yourself into the free movement, and 7 years to make sure all the systems are in place. So you can be a part of it and still getting the systems in place. But we must be strategic, we must be pragmatic, we must understand what are the best interests of St. Kitts and Nevis in this whole dilemma. I can't call it a dilemma, but in this whole situation, we have to now determine what exactly is it that St. Kitts and Nevis can draw out of this. When we got out of sugar in 2005, we transitioned into a more services type of economy. The last WTO trade review I saw, we were somewhere in the region of 80% to 85% of our economy being services. The question then is, how do we strategize to ensure that we can utilize that service base wider across the 7.8 million people space of the CSME? And so that means greater productivity. That means greater opportunity for us to invest. I want to see TDC operating down in Port of Spain and over in Kingston. And how do we ensure that Hosfords can be a household name in Barbados and in the Windwards? How do we ensure that our growth and our development comes not only because we are selling more in St. Kitts and Nevis, but now we have a wider space? And so the government's position is how are we going to make sure that the St. Kitts and Nevis benefits economically, socially we are advancing, so that at the end of the day, this shared sovereignty, and that's what I'm calling it, the shared sovereignty of the free space allows us to do more and become more.
You mentioned St. Kitts and Nevis being in support of this, but at this point in time, not ready.
We're not ready.
What are we looking at now, or what are we doing now to get ready for this?
To get ready. One of the first things we have to recognize is that, and I said it before, free movement is based on people. This whole single market and economy is based on the empowerment of the people. And one of the things that we have not yet successfully done in St. Kitts and Nevis is to certify our people and their skills. There's a skills regime, and I cannot comfortably say that we have 10% of our workforce who are CVQ certified. And these CVQs are vocational skills, maybe in agriculture as farmers, as carpenters, as masons, as wire benders, the whole construction sector, the household sector, even security guards. They are CVQs that gives you certification as being trained in these. We have not yet done this in St. Kitts and Nevis. And so what happens is that once this border becomes open, our people do not even yet have the opportunity to compete in the regional market or even at home if we open, because others will come with their civic cues, but we don't have the civic cues yet available to our people. And so this is one of the first things we have to do. And so labor competitiveness is what comes. So it starts with training, but it comes to labor competitiveness. And then we also have to look at how are we going to ensure that the successes that we have gained as an independent state, which seeks to put us in a more prominent light in the region, doesn't come to our detriment, where an abundance of people come in, but the systems are not yet in place to absorb them into the system, that they become productive parts of the sector and then become beneficiaries of, for example, social security when they become older, not coming in to get social security at the time when they come, but become contributors at the entry and work and build towards. And so we also have to determine how are we going to do the social security revenue sharing, because if someone has worked in another member state and then come to St. Kitts and Nevis, do we seek that their contributions be transferred to add to, or do they start again in St. Kitts and Nevis? And if you start again in St. Kitts and Nevis, would you claim from both? How do you do that? We need to work out. And so these are other arrangements which we consider we are not yet ready to have an answer for. But we are prepared to have that discussion. We are prepared to work towards making sure that within whatever stipulated period the heads would have decided, we want to be ready for it.
As you mentioned, CVQs, are there priority areas that our government is looking at in terms of getting our people skilled?
The Ministry of Education has, in the budget of 2024, identified that they would be, in this year, 2024, they would be merging AVIC, Youth Skills, and a third body, Project Strong. And they'll be merging them into a national training academy center institute. I forget the last term they used. But that merger would come with training in key areas that they have already begun to train assessors in, because the CVQs demand that there be person who can assess the competences of the candidates and therefore determine if they should be awarded the certification or in what area they need to build their competences before they can be awarded the certification. And so there is work being done feverishly, and I'm hoping that by the start of the new academic year this year, that institute can be in place so that we can begin to churn out the competences and the certifications in these key areas that they have already chosen. And one would want that by whatever time we enter the free movement arrangement, we would have well over 60% of our population, our workforce that is, certified in key areas, and we determine two things. What would be the priority areas, and secondly, what would be other areas of competency? They may not be priority, but people have choices. People would have academic desires or vocational desires where they'd want to serve and what. So you don't ignore for that reason, even though these are not national priorities, but they should be also be made available as widely as possible. And so this is a conversation we have been having with the Ministry of Education, and I look forward to see what they would bring to the table on this matter.
Thank you so much for that, Larry. It is 11:33 and you're listening to The Edge here on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. We'll take this break and we'll be right back.
The historic charm of Bastia is said to be revived as the old Treasury building commemorates its 130th birthday on Thursday, 21st March. To mark this momentous occasion, the old Treasury building invites residents and visitors alike to embark on an extraordinary journey through time with hourly train rides to explore the rich history of Bastia every hour on the hour. Step aboard the vintage train and be transported back in time as it traverses through the quaint streets of Bastia. Delve into the city's storied past with guided tours to historical landmarks, showcasing the rich tapestry of culture and heritage that has shaped Bastia into the vibrant hub it is today. From the iconic Independence Square to the majestic St. George's Anglican Church, each stop promises to unravel the captivating history of Bastia, offering a glimpse into the bygone eras. Expert guides will regale passengers with fascinating anecdotes and insights, providing a deeper appreciation for the heritage woven into the fabric of the city. For enquiries, call 465-5584, 662-5548 or 8743.
A Samsung tablet today.
Boy, what much madness is this?
Girl, Digicel is giving away a tablet a day for 20 days when you activate any Prime plan. Switch to Digicel, sign up for new home internet, or even when you pay a monthly bill in full. Tracy, where you going so fast?
I coming back. I go and make sure I qualify to win.
But Lord, you can dial star 141 # to activate plans or pay bills in the My Digicel app, or visit any Digicel store to sign up for new internet and switch. New winners are announced daily. It's madness in March. 20 Samsung tablets in 20 days. A Samsung tablet today. Simply more rewards and more value. Digicel, better together. Promotion ends March 2024.
Welcome back to The Edge here on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. I'm Devonne, Cornelius, and if you're just tuning in the studio with me today is Larry Vaughan, head of the Regional Integration and Diaspora Unit and Ambassador for St. Kitts and Nevis to CARICOM. And we are speaking on the topic of full free movement of CARICOM nationals. And again, Mr. Vaughan, thank you so much for joining me in the studio. Now, what opportunities or challenges do you anticipate as it relates to the full free movement of CARICOM nationals?
Let me start with the challenges because, truth be told, the challenges are blatant. We can see them, we anticipate them, we have been speaking about them. So we are talking about possible population expansion that we may not yet be ready for. There might be greater demands on our education and our other social programs such as health. There might be greater demand for employment and the competitiveness that comes with it, that we may not be as competitive even within our own market, and so these are matters we may not yet be ready for. I have been trained to consider all challenges to be opportunities in the making. Now, when you look at the incoming of people, that people may come to our country, the first question you may ask yourself is, when these people come, what opportunities can they provide while they come? And one of the first things we need to recognize, St. Kitts and Nevis is deemed to be grossly underpopulated. That being as it may, there now is the opportunity for St. Kitts and Nevis to strategically grow its productivity, not only with our people already on board, but with others coming in. There is opportunity for greater entrepreneurship by our people, that we can employ others who come. or we can therefore have that greater productivity and then export to other areas. We also look at the challenge of our education and health systems. Sometimes our education and health systems, by sheer size, they are considered to have diseconomies within the whole utilization of them. And so we are pumping in so much resources for so little people. And so it might very well be that with more people into the service, that your health sector can now do more because there are more people who would be able to utilize the services. Our doctors, we consider them, many of them, to be wealthy people, but hey, sometimes the kind of resources they have to put in to get 10 patients would not be as ideal as if they can now get 30 patients and 20 of them flying in to without any hindrance to come to St. Kitts. Because remember I said the whole free movement is not just about migration to live. They can also come in and utilize services and then go back home. And so that freedom of movement is what we are talking about. It's almost as if I'm saying that I live in Keys Village in St. Kitts, but as an extension, St. John's is Antigua is an extension. So rather than catch a bus to go to where I need my service, I may just get on a plane, and it is easier to get there. Leave one morning, come back one evening, and it is all on account of that free movement, that seamless flow of people between the member states.
And if you realize, Mr. Vaughn, this ties into sports tourism, health tourism. There was
the orange economy, the creative economy, because if the thrust of the government of St. Kitts and Nevis is to make sure that the orange economy, your concerts, your events, are better attended and patronized, then you would want that even local promoters might even decide to promote a show in Grenada.
It is happening.
So I'm telling you, and you don't have to live in Grenada to promote the show now in Grenada, because freedom of movement allows that to happen. And so these are the untapped and untold benefits that we are yet to explore. And it is for us to ready ourselves to ensure that this is what will happen.
Mr. Vaughn, it is 11:42, and we want to get some callers in.
Yes.
The phone lines are open, and you can call us at 465-2555 or 718-577-2916. Please ask your questions and keep them concise so that we could accommodate other callers as well. We have our first call for this morning.
Good morning.
Caller, good morning. You're on
Good
the air.
morning.
Mr. Vaughn, some time ago I spoke to you about this free movement thing. And what you told me then, listening to you now, you give a more clear understanding than when they first started it with the godfather of CARICOM administration. They said professionals, free movement of professionals. Today you're telling me free movement of plumbers. Mr. Vaughn, that hit me in my back, because when I see truck drivers, gardeners around here from them other countries, now let me stick up in there. I'm not against free movement with OECS members, those who handling the money, our money. But them were coming from the other countries. Partner, you're all selling us out. And it's every time election time is to come around and Labour in power, they got this free movement thing come up.
All right.
Please, you are giving away your country. St. Kitts and Nevis is giving away more to Jamaica, Guyana, Boy, don't let me out.
All right, caller. Thank you for your contribution to the program. We want to take some more calls. The phone lines are open. Call us at 465-2555. Hello, caller, on the air.
Yeah, good morning, Devonne and Mr. Vaughan.
Good morning.
Yeah, let me start bottom up first. Mr. Vaughan, you just mentioned that imagine an artist could go from St. Kitts to another country to do a performance. Well, that ain't going to happen, because look at it. St. Kitts artists use a song, a calypso from one of them other countries, and they end up in court with that. But look here now, the Federation togetherness started up in the early 60s. And because those big chest fellows up there realized they had, and we the small countries, they had nothing. We all know what they say. That the little piglet gonna suck the big one. And one from 10 leave north. And if we had it, they would not have done break up the Federation. But no, we the small countries, we rise now to something. And they're jealous of what we got. They want us to go join up free movement.
All right.
I am not in favor of that. Thank you very much.
All right, caller. Thank you for it. Let's pause and get Mr. Vaughan to respond to those callers.
Okay. I'm happy to hear from both callers. The concerns I'm hearing, and my desire is to listen to what are the concerns. And so I'm hearing that we are giving away the country, and that there is historical differences we've had with our CARICOM partners, and there is a level of jealousy that would cause the others to want to join. And I want to just look at these three. The giving away the country, that they are skilled, that it was professionals, I'm told, I'm hearing, but now I'm talking about plumbers. What I actually said was that the skilled persons, and so the skilled persons include the truck drivers, it includes the gardeners, because there are CVQs for each of these. The last two that were added were actually security guards and farm workers. And according to the report I met, the government of St. Kitts and Nevis did ask for a derogation on the farm workers and on the security officers. And so we had an understanding that there were certain aspects of even the CVQs that we were not ready on, but yet by the time we sought the derogation, we never even sought to improve our people and made sure that our farm workers and our security officers were also CVQ trained and certified. And so our desire is not to give away the country, but to ensure that upon reaching that point of parity, that all our people, when I say our people, I mean our Caribbean people, that we are all equal in our own training and certification, so that whatever movement takes place, it is not on account that there is no competitiveness here in St. Kitts and Nevis, and so people are coming in over our people, or our people go out and are worse off because they are not as competent or trained and certified as others. The artists, I'm told, will not happen because a royalties situation, whether you perform in St. Kitts and Nevis or you perform in another country, once you perform someone else's song, royalties are to be paid. And if you don't pay the royalties, you can be sued. So I have known of situations in St. Kitts and Nevis where one St. Kitts and Nevis artist would have sung another artist's song, or some DJ would have played a local artist song, and they're saying, hi, I need my royalties. And so these things do happen, and they will continue to happen once we do not respect people's intellectual property rights. And these are other matters that we will have to discuss. The historical description about the 1 from 10 leaves 0 and the little pigs and them being jealous. I want the gentleman to go back and listen to a song by St. Kitts and Nevis's Arrow, and it is called Arise. And he said something in that song that has stuck with me, and he says, let us integrate and correct our mistake. And the problem is that we are thinking back of the mistakes of the 1950s and 60s and think that they should be the realities of 2024. And so if the other countries at this time have recognized a mistake they've made in 1958 and 1962, is it that we should hold it over their heads, or should we seek to work together, to grow together as a region? Are we not now more matured than we were in 1958 and 1962? Are we holding on to grudges and problems and issues that were then that would cause us to forsake further development, further growth and development together on account that somebody somehow made a comment somewhere back in 1958 or 1962, and we are holding it in our craw today? It cannot work. The development of our people is more important than the grudges we hold. And if we believe that the others are now, and I like the term, jealous of us, there's a synonym for jealous in this case. It is called benchmarking. That we would like to get to where St. Kitts and Nevis is. And if I want to get too close to where somebody is, I have to work with them. And so if we are the embodiment of development that you think happens in the region, let us work with the others and try to lift them to that level as we can, as best we can, and at the same time we work with each other. There are other calls.
Let's take this other caller. Caller, you're on the air. Good morning. I didn't get that caller. Hello, caller, you're on the air. Good morning. No, we're not getting that one. Let's hit this one. Hello, caller, you're on the air.
Yes, Mr. Devonne, you said that you aren't ready. It ain't begin yet. People, look around. They ain't ready. It ain't begin yet. Well, look how much foreigners in the place. Taking your job. Your children in job. My God.
Thank you very much.
Let's head back to the phone lines and we'll take this call. Hello, caller. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, and good morning to your guests, and I'm so very happy that Mr. Vaughan is here now, to Larry Vaughan, to expand a bit more. Now, I agree with all of the callers that have preceded. They might have their own passionate way of putting it, but I think that I'm hoping that government understands what we're speaking about. I just want to just ask two questions. One, have they looked at the migratory flow? Those who come into St. Kitts, those who go out, relative to other countries, number one. Have they considered what can happen to the Eastern Caribbean Currency Board, that is the EC dollar, when you have this type of, what is going to happen to the monetary system, whether they have been in communication with the central bank, who has been stressing OECS union on that. I also so I think you need to look at the bigger picture, where we in the OECS, less than 500,000 persons, and the others are 7 point extra persons.
All right,
thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's take one more call. Hello, caller, you're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning, Devon, and good morning to Ambassador Vaughan there. First, I always want to thank God for the Federation of St. Kitts Nevis. Now, Mr. Vaughan, now, signing on this thing, if this can happen, because maybe in the future it will happen. But I believe that our security, our immigration system, supposed to step up and put our immigration system in place. Because let me tell you something, traveling from one country to the next, especially a country like St. Kitts, we know that the island out there big, and the population bigger than us. But let me tell you that we suppose for us, although we have a sugar industry or whatever now, and all of them see that St. Kitts blossoming and doing well, and they will look to come in our countries there, whether they come for 6 months hour, 3 months hour, they will try to get a stay on. I know that, because of how we're doing. So going through this, we got to be careful. The Prime Minister got to know what he's doing and consult the people with what's going on with this promotion business. Because we are the one Caribbean people for sure. One West Indies, because you make the West Indies say, if my son or my daughter perform good, she could make something from the West Indies side or whatsoever.
All right, Colin.
So we all are one West Indian.
Thank you so much.
But we got to be careful because we don't in a territory, we don't even our one territory and them in their own.
Thank you so much for your contribution to the program. Mr. Vaughn?
Yes, I go to the second caller. I think the first caller just wanted to reinforce a statement he had made before. But the second caller asked two questions, and I would want to answer them. The first, the gist of it is, have we considered the migratory flow? If I'm trying to understand what I remembered in that question, the migratory flow I've spoken to before, especially on St. Kitts and Nevis and the OEC estates, when I said that because of our size, we tend not to have the same percentage or sometimes even the same kind of numbers of people going to other member states. Traditionally, yes, our people would flow to North America because of the sheer size of one city in a North American state. But let us look at it this way. We recognize that we have an issue of diseconomies within our region, that each member state, even Jamaica, with a population of 2 million people, is considered small in the grand scheme of things. And so if we are to determine how we are to reshape the flow of our people and where our people go, is to make a space now that can be greater competitive. So if we can look at creating a space of 7 million people, it could very well be that the historical traditions of where we travel, our destinations, may shift. And it will be better that we have these shifts, that our people now consider going to other member states, even for vacations, so that we can trade among each other and better experience the whole feel of the whole thing. And so the migratory flows have to be considered not in what it is historically, but what it is in the potential of a new arrangement, a new dispensation. One that looks at better telecommunication, one with more cost-effective transportation, one where there is more accommodation. How do we make sure that the migratory flow would then be better channeled among ourselves because of the new process going forward? And the second thing I was asked about the impact on the monetary system. And there are some things that I wished we all knew, and this is one of them I would have to say at this point. The CARICOM region has one official currency, and the CARICOM currency is not the US dollar. The official CARICOM currency is the Eastern Caribbean dollar. So when CARICOM does its budget each year, it is in EC dollars, because it is considered the strongest and most reliable of the currencies in our region. And so the strength of that Eastern Caribbean dollar can even be further strengthened when there is that further cooperation among the community, because the money can be in greater circulation, it can become our true exchange rate, rate of exchange within the whole CARICOM region. Now, the central bank continues to play a very important role in the advice given on this.
Okay.
And so I am thankful for the question. The brewery matter, I think that is an internal business arrangement, and so I will not be able to go into the details on that. Then I am asked by the final caller on the security immigration systems. And yes, this too is a concern that we will have to pay great attention to. In CARICOM's work towards better regional integration, we have established two pivotal instruments that I would have to speak very clearly to right now. One is called the JRCC, which is the Joint Regional Communications Center based in Bridgetown, Barbados. And what that organization does, organized by CARICOM Impacts, which deals with our regional security, this agency is staffed by regional immigration and customs officers. And what this JRCC does, it monitors what are called the Advanced Passenger Information System. And so each country has an idea who is coming, who is on the way when it comes to passengers coming to the countries. It also has information whether they have some level of criminal record, or they are, if they're wanted, then they would not be allowed to travel. But we still need to understand that because, and I'll call this name, Larry Vaughn, would have been tried, charged, and convicted on a matter, it does not mean he is a lifelong criminal. And so you do not stop someone from coming to a country after they have paid their penalties to the system.
Okay.
We need to recognize that yes, some people would have fallen along the way, and that our penal systems is to help to build their competences and to turn them away from such a lifestyle. But we cannot put them into the system, have them come out, and then want to breathe down on them because of the mistake they have made. It means that we are saying our penal systems are a failure. And so we need to recognize that the JRCC offers that information so that we know who would be in each of the member states at any point. Then secondly, there is an extradition treaty being worked out between the heads that soon will be available for signing. And what this extradition treaty should allow, or is intended to allow, is that if Larry Vaughn leaves St. Kitts and Nevis and is needed in any of the member states for a crime he would have committed, that member state needing him can request of the state that he is known to be in to have him extradited. So if one feels that others can come to St. Kitts and Nevis and seek to hide because they're now coming here and they can hide in St. Kitts and Nevis and get away from any punishment that is to be put to them because of some offense they would have committed, this extradition treaty, which is to be worked out, which will be part of the 7-year period that we are putting the systems in place, this would ensure that we are making sure that no one uses free movement to flout the law and to hide.
Thank you so much for that, Mr. Vaughn. We're going to have to wrap up because we're out of time. So let me thank you so much for joining me on the program. And this is a conversation that we want to continue. We have to continue.
We have to continue that conversation.
It's developing.
Because the people are the first and the last source of guidance. The people are, and everywhere between, everywhere we turn, the people should be able to understand what is happening and to offer their advice. And I am glad that I'm hearing from a group of people who have concerns, because it is now the job of the government of St. Kitts and Nevis and the Regional Integration Task Force, which the Prime Minister has asked to be set up, to present to Cabinet what then would be the way forward when we look at what are the concerns and how we can strategically turn these concerns into the economic, social, cultural, even environmental benefit of St. Kitts and Nevis as we seek to be a sustainable island state with free movement.
All right. You've been listening to The Edge here on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. Until next time, you guys stay safe. Have a good one. Stay tuned for the midday newscast.